Welcome to part 2 of Module 8. Part 1 covered what a campaign is, how to set a clear objective, a clear SMART objective, how to map your audience, and how to deploy story types across the 3-phase arc. Part 2 covers a more operational side, how to coordinate messaging across platforms, a brief note on measurement, which gets the full treatment in Module 9, and a complete walkthrough of your assignment, Campaign Strategy Deck. If you haven't watched part 1, go back, because otherwise, spoiler alert, this is the end. The platform and deck sections won't make as much sense without the objective and arc work from part 1. So first, which is section 5 if you're counting from part 1, but anyhow, first, we have multi-platform coordination, the hub and spoke model, platform roles, and cadence. And this is where campaign architecture connects to that platform strategy matrix you built earlier in the course. Next comes measurement, which is intentionally brief because it gets a full module, Module 9. We're just orienting you here so you need to know what you need to know before you build your deck and what comes later. It's essentially a blank slide. Section 7 is the assignment walkthrough. I go through the required slide structure, what makes a strong deck, and a self-review checklist so that everybody can do well. Have your campaign objective draft handy, and this section will make more sense if you're already thinking about your specific campaign. Multi-platform coordination. An integrated campaign coordinates messaging across platforms without simply duplicating content everywhere. So don't just copy your Facebook post into Instagram or vice versa. Because each platform has a role, understanding those roles and which platform is the hub or center is what separates a coordinated campaign from a content scatter. Think of platforms as team members, each with a specific job. Email is your primary conversion vehicle. This is usually where the ask lives. This is where you send people when you want them to take action. Your email subscribers have already opted in for a deeper relationship, so they're your most committed audience. And email is the platform that honors that relationship the best. Instagram is an emotional entry point. You're stopping someone's scroll, creating a feeling, directing them somewhere. It's the wide end of that sales funnel, that customer journey funnel. Awareness and discovery. You don't make asks on Instagram, or at least not first asks. You create curiosity. Facebook is your community narrative platform. People who already know you will follow a 400-word story if it's worth reading. This is where the build phase content lives, where you're really generating trust and a deeper emotional relationship. LinkedIn is institutional credibility. Your professional stakeholders like board members, major donors, and corporate partners and foundation program officers are here. They expect argument and content, not just emotional hooks. One platform can't do all of this. The platform isn't just a distribution channel, it's a relationship context. The hub and spoke model is the clearest way to think about cross-platform coordination. One platform is the hub. That's where the full campaign lives, where the conversion action happens, and where you're measuring your outcomes. Everything else is a spoke, a feeder system, directing traffic toward that hub. For most arts nonprofits, the hub is email. Your email is your most direct line to your committed stakeholders. The spokes are Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, and they generate awareness, they create emotional entry points, and they funnel interested people toward the hub. This doesn't mean you invest less in the spoke platforms. It means you design them with a specific directional purpose. Every Instagram post in a campaign should be moving engaged followers toward your email list or your campaign landing page. The common mistake is treating all platforms as hubs, running the full campaign on every platform with equal investment. This distributes effort without concentrating it. Identify your hub, invest heavily in it, and treat the spokes as feeder systems. If you only have capacity for one platform in a campaign, which is a real constraint that many small arts organizations have, make it email. This is brief, intentionally. I think I've said that about 9 times now. But anyhow, measurement gets its own module, the next module, Module 9, because it is just that important. I teach a whole class on measurement, but anyhow, it gets its own module. What is following in this slide deck is just enough to orient you. Measurement gets its own module because doing it justice requires more than a few slides. The key point here is that your campaign objective does the foundational measurement work. If your objective is SMART, a specific named behavior, a named audience, a date, and a measurable outcome, then you already know what you're measuring. The question, did it work, has a yes or no answer, and that's all you need to know right now for the deck you're submitting. Module 9 will teach you the full framework, how to distinguish outcome metrics from leading indicators, from vanity metrics, to how to find platform-specific benchmarks for arts nonprofits, and how to present those results in a way that's useful to your organization's leadership. Everything in this lecture has been preparing for this, building the deck. This section walks through the required structure, what makes a strong submission, and your self-review checklist to use before you hit submit or upload. This is the required structure for your campaign strategy deck. Every element listed here, except the measurement slide, must appear in what you submit for your assignment. The measurement slide is grayed out for a reason. We will be adding it after Module 9 that teaches you the full measurement framework. Wow, this is kind of repetitive. It gets evaluated as part of your final portfolio and not this submission. If you want, drop a placeholder slide in that says measurement to be continued in Module 9. The campaign brief on slide 2 is a simple sentence that passes all 4 objective tests. If you can't write it in one sentence, the objective isn't clear enough yet. Clarify the objective before you build the rest of the deck. Slides 5 and 6 are the heart of the deck. Each piece of content in the arc should have a named story type and a named job. The strategic specificity is what separates a strong deck from a list of content ideas. Sample creation does not mean full production pieces. An email subject line, a 50-word Instagram caption, a brief video description, I don't need to see any visual part of it, is enough specificity that someone could execute it without asking you what you meant. Here are 4 things that separate strong decks from adequate ones. Measurable objective. Vague objectives protect you from failure, but they also protect you from success. And even worse, they protect you from learning. You need a yes or no answer. Yes, I succeeded, or no, I failed. And no, I failed is where the learning comes in, because then you know what to do differently the next time. So, be specific. A specific objective is the foundation of measurement. You need a rationale, not just label. Value story next to a content item is labeling. It's not strategy. The strategic work is explaining why a value story is right for this specific audience who needs to feel this specific thing in order to take this specific action. You need platform roles and not a list. We'll use 4 platforms is a distribution decision. Assign jobs, name the hub, show why each spoke feeds your hub. It is an arc that earns the ask. If your first piece of content includes a donation link, then you've collapsed that arc. Open and build phases exist to make the convert phase land. Don't skip them. Your assignment for this module is the campaign strategy deck. It's 150 points for the deck, it's important, and 20 points for the associated reflection. The deck is portfolio piece number 3. The deck should be 9 to 12 slides and follow the required structure from the slide earlier in this presentation. It should be for your portfolio organization, which is the same organization you've been working on all semester. The campaign should be original and not a replication of something the organization has already done. The reflection is not a summary of what you did. I would like it to be an analysis of your decision making. I want you to surface genuine uncertainty. I want you to think about the places where you made a judgment call without full information, and the things that you know you'll need to execute this in the real world. Strong reflections will be honest about what they don't know, because you need to know what you don't know to know what you're going to be looking for when you really work for the organization. There's also going to be peer review. I'm going to assign you 2 classmates' decks with the details in Canvas. There'll be 25 pass and fail points for substantive feedback on at least 3 rubric elements. About the peer review, since we're not covering measurement until the next module, the peer review will come after the measurement module. I'm trying to remember when it is. Well, it's in Canvas. There's an assignment date. But you'll be doing peer review on the entire deck that is the final submission, the final project submission. Here is the vaunted, much talked about, self-review checklist. So these are the things you want to ask yourself before you submit. The board member framing is deliberate. Your deck would eventually be presented to real stakeholders, a development director, a board director, an ED, and considering whether to greenlight this campaign. And they will ask you hard questions. The self-review checklist is to practice for that. The most common no answers, the objective doesn't pass all 4 tests, usually missing a date or specific audience. And the arc goes directly to convert without that open phase. The most valuable no is question 5. Would this actually be executable? Students can design campaigns that are strategically elegant but operationally impossible for a 3-person organization with a $20,000 communication budgets. Design for what can really be done. Constraints are not failures, and working within real constraints is part of a strategic skill that gets you hired. There are very few places where you work where the budget is unlimited, and when you run into one of those, let me know, because I might, need to change careers. Again, there's no measurement question in this checklist. That'll come after the next module, and you'll return to this deck and you'll add the measurement slide, and the measurement slide and this deck are all your final portfolio. Thus concludes Module 8. I need you to start with the objective and write it before you open the slide template. Pass it through all of the 4 tests. Everything else in the deck depends on having a clear, specific, measurable objective. Do the discussion post early. Analyzing a real campaign before you build your own sharpens your thinking. It's not throwaway work. It's a warm-up for your own strategic design. One reminder, no measurement slide in this submission. Module 9 covers measurement properly, and you'll add that slide to your deck afterwards. It's evaluated in the final portfolio and not here. Good luck. This is the second most complete strategic exercise of the semester, the final portfolio being the most complete strategic exercise of the semester.